Hey, and welcome to Game Talk. I'm your host, Ahmed Mion. Today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey, guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And 2 episodes ago, we had an Xbox-centric podcast. Last episode, we had a PlayStation-centric one. And for this one, we just had a Nintendo Direct and some pretty spicy Nintendo-related news. So it seems appropriate to talk about Nintendo here. So I guess we can start off with the Nintendo Direct. They had a Direct recently showcasing games that were coming out in the first half of 2022. And some decent surprises in there, I think. Most notable absence, of course, was Breath of the Wild 2, but again...
Followed by Silk Song.
Silk Song, if that is ever even happening at this point. But I wasn't too surprised. I'm still of the opinion that Breath of the Wild 2 is a 2023 game, unfortunately. I really want to be wrong, but...
I really doubt it. I think it'll be holiday 2022 at the latest.
We'll see.
Because didn't they say it was going to come in 2022 last year?
They did. They said aiming for 2022.
Oh, well, yeah. They also aimed for 2015 or 2014 for Breath of the Wild, didn't they?
2014, really?
Yeah, I think so. The original release date was way sooner than.
But you've got to think,
three
right?
years sounds right. Yeah.
I mean, they've got really solid framework now, right? They don't have to build it from scratch, so.
Right, but yeah.
You can be optimistic, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking about it recently, and what I would want from Breath of the Wild 2. And more Breath of the Wild would not be good enough, I don't think. Not after this long of a wait. I've kind of had time to digest it. And they're still going to have to do some creative stuff with it.
See, with Nintendo, I feel like you don't have to... I don't think Nintendo has ever just really cashed in on, a big sequel like that. You know?
Not with a sequel, but the Breath of the Wild DLC is abysmal. I was watching somebody play it on Twitch the other day, and it's just bad. It's really not redeemable.
It is bad, but I'd also challenge you to find I feel like most DLC is bad, to be honest. I don't know
about that. I mean, Echoes of the Eye for Outer Wilds is pretty good.
I think more DLC is way more often bad than it is good.
I guess I just haven't played a lot of bad DLC.
But yeah, anyways, getting to the contents of this Direct, I guess, I can start off, there wasn't a whole lot that really popped out to me, but the things that really did. And I think
the strongest omission for me was that there wasn't really anything new there. It was all stuff we already knew about.
I mean, there were a couple of new things, but I mean,
not a lot of standout new things.
Right. I mean, a lot of people are going to care about Xenoblade 3. I couldn't really.
Yeah, they're wrong to do so.
Yeah, sorry.
Those people have a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't want to rag on them too hard, but we did get.
There's nothing wrong with having a lot of time. I'm just saying, I don't have 40 hours to get through the boring part of a Xenoblade game.
Yeah, just to get through the boring part, not even the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... Okay, so first thing that stood out to me, we got another look at Kirby, The Forgotten Land, I think it's called. This game is shaping up to look really, really nice, and I'm quite excited to play it.
I am very excited for mouthful mode.
Yeah, what a concept. That's just got Nintendo just has that.
It's stupid is what it is, because this is not the first time Kirby's turned into a car. This is the first time Kirby has decided to wrap his mouth around a car instead of turning into one.
Yeah, it's really dumb looking, because Kirby just inhales really large objects that are basically just not swallowed, so his mouth is just around it, and that's the thing. It's not even a new form or anything. It's just Kirby wrapped around a larger object.
Yeah,
but it's so dumb. It's funny. I think
I'm really excited for this game. The only thing, what is it called again? Kirby and the Forgotten Land?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited for it. The only thing I'm really worried about is it being a shorter game because it's their first time doing 3D. Because Kirby games are already not terribly long, but the ones I've played, I really suck the marrow out of.
I mean, I can't see this game
Actually, Star Allies was pretty long.
It's going to be 8 to 10 hours max, I would guess.
Well, yeah, but that's about right. My worry is that, my worry is that it's going to be a 2 to 5 hour. I would be pretty disappointed in that.
Yeah.
Kirby games tend to, the past few have been extremely replayable. Star Allies had a lot of reason to go back and play through the game as other characters and stuff. And I wonder how much of that they're going to carry forward, because I think this is the first Kirby game since Star Allies.
I believe so. Star Allies was the Switch game, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's an okay game with incredible presentation.
Mm-hmm. And I think in general, like, I don't know, I think it's exciting because this is like Kirby's first foray into 3D, and like
Yeah, we've been
when
begging for it
and
forever.
when Nintendo's other major franchises shifted from 2D to 3D, we saw like insane games that were generation defining, right? Like
Yeah.
I think Mario and Metroid and Zelda. So maybe we
Yeah,
can
I
see
don't
something similar here.
I don't think this is going to be generation defining. I think it's going to be a really good 3D platformer.
No, I agree with you, but I'm just looking at it through the lens of like there's evidence of that happening.
Because Kirby, like as much as I love it, is kind of a B franchise for Nintendo.
It is, yeah, it is.
Even more so than like Metroid is. Like
Well, with Metroid, like
Metroid
there's
sells
this,
like a B tier, but
it
the
sells like a B
production
tier, but
value is
like
yeah.
exactly the quality of the game is clearly A or S tier. But
Whereas
like,
Kirby, I don't know how Kirby sells actually, but Kirby's quality. If you like Kirby, it's really really good. But like, I haven't played a Kirby game and thought to myself like, man, they spent a lot of money on this.
I mean, just by like sheer like the like, even like just looking at the game covers alone, you got to think Kirby is a lot more marketable than Metroid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, Kirby's had some serious bangers. Planet Robobot is insanely good on the 3DS.
I'll take your word for it. Like, I actually haven't played too many Kirby games, like just
I
a
hadn't
handful.
either. I just got like a wild hair 2 years ago, something like that, to just go back and play a ton of Kirby. I played through like a lot of the Game Boy ones. I played the Super NES one. Well, the Super NES one's kind of confusing because it's like a bunch of games in one. But I
Uh-huh.
played through a good bit of it. Played Planet Robobot, played Star Allies. They're fun. They're very fun. The Kirby lore is really stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way that a lot of people love, like, like Kirby is fighting dark gods and things like that.
Yeah, I don't like know how much of the lore is like memes and how much of it is actual.
None
Like
of it is
Kirby.
memes.
Jeez, really?
That's
Okay.
all real. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I mean, there's a lot of ambiguity about what Kirby actually is, but there are references that Kirby is like a young god and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like a Cthulhu-esque like universe destroying god.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
It's extremely funny.
But yeah, Kirby looked great. I don't know, like there weren't any aside from Xenoblade 3, were there any like new game announcements? Well, there was one that
Switch
stood out.
Sports.
Yes, Switch Sports, which I am unironically extremely
Have you
hyped
played the
for.
online test?
No, has that happened already?
I saw it installed on somebody's Switch today. I don't know if it's actually started or if they just pre-installed.
Okay.
Because I want to play it. I'm kind of like confused.
So the online test only
about
has like 2 or 3 sports, right? Like bowling and
yeah, but I feel like you'll be able to get a very good feel for the whole game from it.
yeah.
I'm kind of. They should have used Mii's. Like the Switch has Mii's. Why did they use these
It's gonna
weird
have
new
Mii's.
characters?
It'll
Yeah, I
support
know.
Mii's. Yeah.
It uses, but not by default. Like by default, it's using those weird new characters that don't look very good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, the Mii's are definitely part of the Wii Sports identity, but, like, it's not too important to me. Like, just the fact that, like, this
Yeah,
game...
the Mii's are not important. What sucks to me is that the new characters are kind of hideous.
They are kind of hideous, but, like... I don't know. Like, I guess the point I'm making is just, like... It's taken... I'm actually kind of surprised it took Nintendo this long to make a successor to Wii Sports. Like, Wii Sports was, like,
I mean,
a ubiquitous game.
This isn't the first successor to Wii Sports. There was Wii Sports Resort, arguably Wii Fit. There was a second Wii Fit game, I think.
Okay, Wii Fit is not Wii Sports, but I'll give you Wii Sports Resort.
Okay, yeah.
But like it has been quite a while, and it's the first one on Switch. Like ideally, I would think Nintendo would release this as a pack-in for the Switch when the Switch first came out, right? Like
yeah,
I feel like it would.
I see why they didn't though, because this game, I mean, it probably uses a lot of the Switch's features and all, but it notably is not going to use the Switch's like trademark feature, which is portability. I don't think this is going to be a very fun game to play handheld.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. I mean, tabletop mode. I don't even know if it can be played in handheld. Maybe like online or something, but that would be weird.
Yeah, I don't know, because that would just completely cut out a lot of people that have a Switch Lite, right? They just wouldn't get to play the game.
Yeah. There has to be handheld support, but like, I guess there's no multiplayer handheld support. Because like, how would that work? Like, unless you're like playing online with someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm super excited for this game. Like Wii Sports when it came out was like a ubiquitous game. Like everyone was playing Wii Sports. Your grandma was playing Wii Sports, you know,
So,
like it was.
I gotta know, what sports did you guys go pro in?
Boxing.
Yeah, I had boxing. I had bowling. I think I had tennis. I don't
think
remember.
maybe bowling. I think that was it.
Bowling was the one a lot of people did because there was like a really easy combo you could kind of figure out and get a strike every time. But yeah, boxing is where the legends come from.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's boxing in the new one, actually.
Really,
That's Travis. I'm not playing it then. Not buying it.
I'll play it. Tennis was my go-to.
So there's gonna be tennis. They're adding some new sports like volleyball, which is kind of cool. They are adding golf in a future update, free update, which is huge. I know, like golf will be heavily played.
The one that confused me, I can't believe they put Rocket League in it.
They did, yeah. They basically just put Rocket League in it.
Yeah,
which is just smart. You know, like
it has a soccer game mode for the uninitiated, and the ball is
like
really
a big ball. So. Yeah. No, this thing is gonna sell like hotcakes. Like this. Yeah. This is gonna be. I
want
game.
it, but I don't know if I $60 want it.
I definitely $60 want it. Like I'm sure like this is a game that me and a bunch of my friends and family will enjoy many hours of.
It kind of depends on how good the online play is because I don't have friends or family that hang out at my house that often. So
yeah, I mean online like the Wii Sports obviously did not have online play, did it?
No.
Yeah, so like this is a first for the series. So hopefully they nail it because like this you know, like Switch Sports has like it has the potential, I think, to be like in maybe like top 5 or 10 Switch best-selling Switch games. Like,
yeah, because a lot of people, you know, you can finally have your parents get divorced in the next room in HD.
Right. Yeah.
The nostalgia of a generation is lying on this title.
It is. It very much is. Yeah, and like it's basically, and I don't see them getting it wrong because it's basically just Wii Sports with additional sports. Like that's essentially what it is.
Yeah,
like it's gonna have the bowling, it's gonna have the tennis, it's gonna have the
banger music.
Yeah.
Have you heard the Nintendo? Did you hear the Switch Sports song, or do you like remember it? Because it sounds really good.
Okay.
It's a new take on the original, but they put the work in.
Yeah, that's hype.
Yeah.
Like, and I do find myself, it is a little strange just thinking how excited I am for this game, but I really am excited for Switch Sports.
I'll tell you, it's not what I don't think either of Kirby or Nintendo Switch Sports. I don't think either of those are the thing I'm most excited for from the Direct, though.
Same. Yeah.
Because they did announce 48 new tracks for Mario Kart 8.
That is absolutely wild. Like that is another
$25. Game. Yeah, that's a whole new Mario Kart game.
I mean, it literally like there are 48 tracks right now in Mario Kart 8
Deluxe.
They're
doubling the tracks. Yeah. I'm a little like, you know, actually, you know what? I'm kind of glad they're drip feeding it because what that does is gives me a reason to play Mario Kart 6 more times.
Yeah, so they're drip feeding. So they're doing so it's like what is it? 8 tracks?
Yeah, 8 tracks at a time over the next through 2023, I think.
I think they're doing dropping 2 like sets at a time. So it's like 48 total courses. Like it's like 8 sets of like 6. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, it's 6 sets of 8.
6 sets of 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be 2 cups per.
Right. And the first batch drops in March, and it's going to keep going till end of 2023, which is absolutely insane to me. And that tells me we're not seeing Mario Kart 9 or 10 or whatever it's going to be called until at least 2024.
Yeah,
and that also tells me that we're probably going to see the successor to the Switch in 2024.
The thing that disappoints me a little bit about this is that all of the announced tracks, I don't know if it said all of them would be, but all of the tracks they've announced so far are, help me, what's the word? They're old tracks made new. I keep wanting to say refurbished.
I believe they're all going to be like that.
Yeah,
so it's just 48 classic tracks remastered, which I'm totally fine with, honestly.
It makes Coconut Mall, but
it makes Mario Kart 8 like the ultimate Mario Kart game. Yeah. Like it'll have every single track you'd want, like with updated visuals, and that's kind of all I want.
I would like new tracks, but I'll be happy, especially because like some of them for sure are going to be unrecognizable from their original form. Like that's
Right,
just
like,
the way that they remake tracks for Mario Kart.
I mean,
but,
yeah, if they adapt a kart or a track from like Super Mario Kart, right? Like it's gonna look
right, yeah,
totally different. But like, I think, like obviously you're gonna get your new tracks in Mario Kart 9 or 10, and the reason I say 9 or 10 is because apparently Nintendo is thinking of Mario Kart Circuit or Tour or whatever it's called,
Mario
the
Kart
mobile
Tour,
one.
yeah, because
As
they're
Mario
including
Kart
tracks
9.
from it.
Yeah. So
which is kind of funny because like nobody's played this track. Well, actually, I think Mario Kart Tour made a lot of money, so people have played those tracks. I have not played those tracks.
right.
I did not play a lot of Mario Kart Tour. I played it for about 5 minutes and kind of lost interest.
I have not played it at all, but I'm excited to see those tracks in this game. And this is one of those things that like Mario Kart 8 is already Nintendo's best-selling game of all time, I believe. Like
Yeah.
it's like it goes something like GTA or no, it goes Minecraft, GTA, Call of Duty, and then Mario Kart 8. Like it's that level.
Yeah.
It's got like
It's
like
huge.
50, 60 million sales.
Yeah, and it's
this
selling better now than it ever has. Like,
and especially with this announcement, this is just going to kick it into the stratosphere.
well, you
Like,
know what's crazy about this? That like really impressed me. I don't think they said this in the direct. I read this later. Only one person in the online lobby has to have the DLC to have access to those courses.
that's
everybody can play
absolutely
'em.
wild. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And
Yeah.
also, I've dunked on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack a lot. However, they keep putting pretty good value
know.
DLC in it. So
Yeah. So like I was shocked because like I didn't notice that they said if you have the expansion pack or you pay $25 for it. I'm on the family plan for the expansion pack. I'm paying $10 a year for that thing, and I get this thing now.
yeah,
in
I'm
addition.
still just gonna buy the deal. So let me tell you why I'm just gonna buy the DLC, especially for a Mario Kart game. This was maybe less fair for Animal Crossing, but I still play Mario Kart 64 every once in a while. And if I like went back to my N64 and there weren't as many courses there, I would be very upset. So I'm going to pay the $25 so that 10 years from now, when I dig my Switch out because I want to play Mario Kart 8, all the courses are still going to be there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't, I'm not going to fault anybody for not thinking that way, but I am someone who revisits older
But
games.
also,
a lot.
like, I think $25 for 48 tracks is a totally reasonable ask.
Oh yeah, it's a steal. That's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd. It's less than $1 a track. Like, it's almost 50 cents a track.
No, their mobile game DLC costed more for Diddy Kong.
They charged more than $25 for Diddy Kong.
Yep.
Well, he's a good character. I get it.
I guess, and Nintendo also realizes that I guess mobile players are way more willing to part with their money.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the basis of mobile game design.
Exactly, yeah. But like, yeah, this was unequivocally the thing that got me the most hype. This was the thing I sent to like all my friends as soon as I saw it on screen. I sent this to my sister, and she lost her mind. She like couldn't believe this was happening, right? Like, and she's just a casual Nintendo fan, right? Like, she doesn't really care about like Mario or Zelda or that sort of thing. But like,
what's really funny is I didn't think that my friends thought of me as the Kirby guy, but I had a lot of people texting me about the new Kirby game, and I'd actually forgotten about the direct. I was building a desk. And yeah, I got a bunch of texts about Kirby, and I was like, no, please don't spoil it. I gotta turn it on.
I don't know, dude. Like, I know I feel like it's the mouthful mode. Honestly, is making it kind of go viral.
Yeah, a little bit. I've seen a hilarious number of mouthful memes, and none of them have been as gross as I expected, which is awesome.
That's good
because I was expecting some pretty horrific things. So yeah,
I mean, I'm sure those horrific things exist.
They'll come
in abundance on the internet.
Yes, but so far so good. It's mainly been like the Among Us character. I've seen people like photoshopping like car covers to look like they're Kirby and stuff like that. It's been pretty tame. Although I have a pretty curated social media, so
yeah, super excited for these Mario Kart tracks. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I think this really does give a hint into Nintendo's future plans, right? Like, if this thing is going to be supported until 2023, I say we get, in the fall of 2024, a new Switch and a new Mario Kart. I think that's a given almost, but we shall see.
I hope so. I I'm ready for a new Switch. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to get the Steam Deck. I don't need a new Switch. I'm happy with the one I have.
That's fair, but like those sweet
Yeah.
Nintendo exclusives, though.
Yeah. I mean, the Nintendo exclusives are still pretty good on the Switch. It's the third parties that run like crap, other than Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just games like I don't know. Like obviously, I'm gonna play Breath of the Wild 2 when it comes out, but like I just think of that on like a high power Switch, and I would be like, it'd be so much better there. But like,
Yeah, probably. I don't know. They've had a lot of time to like work their magic and optimize that engine, though.
they have, yeah. But okay, so that's the Mario Kart DLC. A couple other things I want to mention. There was a new Mario Strikers announced. I don't believe this game has been announced before, right?
I don't think so, because I was pretty surprised. I don't know how I missed it until like when I was back watching the trailers later. I'm pretty excited for that. I never owned Mario Strikers on GameCube.
It looks cool, and I also like just want to comment like Nintendo's really like they put out a Mario game for like tons of different sports, right? They've got soccer, they've got golf.
Strikers is the coolest one though. It's the most
Definitely
stylish.
the most stylistic.
Have
yeah.
you do you know who's making it?
I don't know.
Because the original Mario Super Striker is the one I think of. I don't know if it was the first one. But whatever the one on the GameCube was, that was made by the guys that went on to do the Luigi's Mansion sequels.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So if it's them,
they're very competent.
Yeah, they're very good.
I mean, obviously from a game making perspective, but also from a technical perspective. Like Luigi's Mansion 3 on Switch,
It's probably the prettiest Switch game.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Although it has a lot of advantages in that feel, like, you know, the fixed camera and everything makes it easier to make a pretty game, but they still really did it.
They did. Yeah, Mario Strikers looks neat. I do want to get your reaction, Cotter. How did you react when you first started watching that direct and the first thing to come up was Fire Emblem?
I just didn't care. I didn't even remember that happened, if I'm being honest. I just tuned it out.
Just like shut it off and like.
Yeah, well, the problem is that wasn't the first thing I saw, because I did tune into the direct in progress. I missed the beginning, so I didn't have the.
It was so funny. Like I started watching it like while I was exercising. I was just like, oh, Connor's going to lose his mind.
No, yeah,
when he
I don't even.
this.
What Fire Emblem game was it? I don't even remember this.
It was like a deal. It was like a Fire Emblem's Warrior game. Nonsense. Okay. It wasn't even like a mainline game.
Yeah, I probably saw the art style and just tuned it out immediately. I don't have room in my heart for that hatred anymore, Ahmed.
Oh, that's good.
I still do. I'll still hate on Fire Emblem.
Smash Ultimate is done. I don't need to hate it anymore. There's no more DLC coming. I have no reason to hate Fire Emblem. It can't hurt me anymore.
Although I feel like it does outstay its welcome, I will say, like I've said before, those games are genuinely very good.
I believe it. I love Wargroove. So, speaking of that, those tactical style games, they showed Advance Wars again.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a big fan of like the art style in the remake, but like,
I don't like it as much as the original art style for sure. I don't know that I dislike it though. It's a somewhat faithful translation to 3D, but it's just not working for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I haven't been too excited by what I've seen so far. But I think, so the only other big thing I could think of from the Direct, other than like the announcement of ports and such, was another look at Splatoon 3, which again, I have no interest in Splatoon. And I almost have I'm almost like stubborn in my ignorance. Like I don't want to see the light and enjoy Splatoon. I'm just fine hating it.
Yeah. So. I don't hate it. It's just boring. Like I played Splatoon 2. My brother let me borrow it for a bit. And I just didn't get it. Like I played a couple rounds and everything, and I was just like, man, I could be playing a real shooter right now or something. Like,
yeah, like I don't know. Like I'm definitely speaking from a place of ignorance, but in this rare case, I'm like totally fine with that. I don't want to understand Splatoon. I'm fine just disliking it.
If they do like a big open like online playtest or something, I'll check it out.
So a couple other small things I wanted to mention before we moved on. MLB The Show 22 got announced for the Switch, right? And typically, like, obviously we wouldn't really care about an announcement like this, but it's relevant in that it is a Sony first-party game on Nintendo Switch, right?
Oh, weird. I did not realize that.
This, I think we might have covered this earlier, maybe like last year when it happened, but MLB, the actual, baseball organization, basically said they wanted their game to be multi-platform. And they came to Xbox last year, and they put MLB The Show on Xbox. So MLB was already on Xbox, and now it's on Switch too. So it's wild that when you boot up this game on your Nintendo Switch, it'll say like PlayStation Studios on it. It'll say like Sony on it
That's
before it like boots up, which is crazy.
that is
right?
wild. Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that was really interesting, especially because like obviously the Switch is way underpowered compared to the PS5 and Series X.
Yeah.
They've adapted this game to the Switch, and like MLB just wanted to get this game everywhere.
Well,
and I
interestingly,
gotta-
Sony probably has like some of their studios probably have experience doing that because they were doing it before Nintendo. They had the Vita, and there were a lot of like Vita and PS3 like cross.
Yeah, they've definitely like. I mean, they had to have like they are the ones who did the work to port this to a Nintendo console.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But yeah, like so this is the first, I think, first party Sony previously exclusive game on Nintendo Switch since like I don't know, something probably in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because I think like obviously Sony is starting to change, and we don't have to go into this because it's kind of off topic, but like I just want to mention, right, like with the whole like Bungie thing and that being multi-platform, and obviously the MLB being on Switch and Xbox, right, like that's all just more money in their pocket, right? And MLB, I don't know if you know this, but in 2021, it was I think the 8th best-selling game of the year.
Really?
Which is just
who likes
wild.
Baseball? Who's buying this thing?
A lot of people, man, apparently, right? Like, and that
no, because it's American baseball stuff, isn't it? Like,
yes,
I was gonna say it might sell well in Japan, but they're not gonna want the American teams, are they?
I think Japan just loves baseball, and the cover. You know how there's a different athlete on the cover every year for these sports games. The cover on this year is, I think his name is Shohei Otani or something like that, and he's like a Japanese superstar.
Interesting.
So like,
okay,
it's gonna, and he actually presented it in the Nintendo Direct. They actually got him to like reveal the game in the Direct. I don't know if you remember that.
That's pretty cool. Nah, well, I mean, again, I saw baseball and I tuned it out because I just who likes baseball? Like,
dude, a lot of people apparently.
Yeah, that's just weird to me.
But yeah, like this. So this game was the 8th best-selling game overall in 2021 without the Nintendo Switch.
Wow.
So I can only imagine how much more it'll explode.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Switches out there. The Switch outsold the Wii recently.
Yeah, that's a huge milestone.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And it's actually on track to outsell PS4, which is wild to me.
Isn't like, the PS4 No, PS2 is still best-selling console of all time.
PS2 is still best-selling, and I don't know if Switch will catch up to the PS2, but it's very possible that Switch could like end its run at number 2 of all time, which is
be pretty incredible. Yeah,
insane.
And that's without playing DVDs.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we can
actually that like I said that as a joke, but that's kind of a landmark thing. Like the Switch doesn't do anything else.
Yeah, it's just a game console.
Well, I mean, you can watch Netflix on it. I guess that's a lie, but it's mainly a game console. It's a pretty bad Netflix experience, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
and like most people who are buying a Switch have like a smart TV or something. I would say most.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know, like people aren't buying their Switch to watch Netflix. Come on, you know.
Well, I really don't. I really don't know. I don't know how ubiquitous smart TVs and like knowing how to use them and like I really don't know. Like I'm not trying to sound pretentious and like I know how to use my TV. Like I really just am not plugged in enough to other people. I'm definitely in an echo chamber of people that like
enthusiasts.
Yeah, people who get the most out of their stuff, and I really don't know.
Okay, but like all that to say, like the argument is definitely that like the video games are the primary motivator for the Switch's sales rather than anything else. Yeah.
Especially with the Switch Lite selling so well. Like that's a terror. Yeah. You might as well watch Netflix on your phone at that point.
Yeah, the last direct item I wanted to mention was Earthbound coming to Switch.
Yeah, I really thought they were going to announce Mother 3. I was so sure.
Yeah, these games I've always heard such fantastic things about, but I really have next to no familiarity
I have
with
tried to play Earthbound a couple of times, which is Mother 2.
It looks like a really weird game.
It is extremely weird. But in a really fun way. Like I liked everything I was playing about it. But it is an old turn-based RPG, and it kind of has most of the stuff that comes along with that makes it kind of hard for me to get into. Like I had to grind a little bit. That was pretty much what knocked me off. I lost interest.
Yeah, so it's getting added to, I think, the NES collection?
SNES. Earthbound is SNES.
SNES, okay.
Earthbound Beginnings is NES, I believe, which is Mother 1.
So there's 2 editions, right? Because they announced both? Or
yeah,
did they announced?
Earth, yes, they did announce both. Both are coming to Switch. Earthbound Beginnings is not another edition. Earthbound Beginnings is Mother 1. Earthbound is Mother 2.
Oh, yeah, I meant edition as an ADD instead
Oh,
of
okay.
EDI.
You know what? Yeah,
But,
sorry. That's on me.
yeah, all good. But yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good direct, right? Like, nothing really blew my socks off, but like, definitely had a couple announcements that I was very excited for.
Yeah, and I wasn't bored watching it. Like, yeah.
I just, like, you know how Nintendo always ends with that one more thing,
Yeah,
and they
and
have
they
that
used the
big
Xenoblade,
bombshell
yeah.
reveal. It's been a long time since that last reveal has spoken to me, so I think I'm due. Like,
Yeah. Well,
for something that really
was Metroid Dread a
'cause-
one more thing reveal?
a while ago. Yeah,
It wasn't that
was,
long
but
ago.
It was like a year ago.
It was, yeah. Less than a year, I think. Because it was announced and came out pretty quick. It was announced in like maybe May of last year or something.
Maybe.
Metroid Dread was
gonna say,
I didn't know about it for very long before I was playing it. Like, they keep you on your toes.
I was gonna say for you, it was definitely Bayonetta 3.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
a big
like,
Bayonetta 3 guy. I
feel like I'm
especially
due.
like since I just went back and played all the Devil May Cry stuff, I'm really itching for Bayonetta.
Mhm.
I need to get Bayonetta 1 and 2 on my Switch. I played it on the Wii U originally and liked it, but I don't have a Wii U anymore, and I would like to go back and play Bayonetta now that I have a better understanding of the genre. I feel
I'm
like
almost
I would have better takes.
positive. I mean, didn't they? Am I imagining? Like, did they announce a Bayonetta collection for Switch yet?
No, it's already out. Bayonetta 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
very
great, yeah.
early. It was a very early port to the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's great. I've seen it. My buddy Brock was playing it. It looked amazing. I think it wasn't even a collection. It wasn't marketed that way. It was Bayonetta 2 came to Switch, and if you bought it, like inside the cover, like in small text, it said also a download of Bayonetta 1 included.
Nice.
It was kind of funny. I like both Bayonettas quite a lot. 2 definitely looks better than 1, but
Yeah, I mean, every time one of these games come out, I just see 10 out of 10s everywhere. I'm just like,
I mean, yeah, it's Platinum Games.
Play these sometime. Yeah.
It's Platinum. It's, it's just another Devil May Cry game, really.
But I was going to say, okay, so that's the Nintendo Direct in a nutshell. I think I'm really looking forward to the next one, which will announce probably the back half of 22D2's games. And I'm like, all eyes are on if Zelda will make it. But yeah, I think the next thing we want to talk about is the announcement of the imminent closures of the 3DS and Wii U eShops. It is interesting because we were talking a little bit before the show started, but like, in my head, like, okay, I can understand shutting down the Wii U store. That was a failure, and like Nintendo wants to get rid of that as soon as possible. In my head, like the 3DS shop, like I feel like that's still got some in the tank. Like, but I guess not. Based off,
it's hard to say, yeah, because with the Switch selling as well as it has, there may not be a lot of 3DS owners that use their 3DS. I use mine every once in a while, but I don't use it for legitimate things. I use it for emulation and things. It's pretty rare that I actually use a Nintendo use it to play a Nintendo game.
It is kind of crazy because this is like the ultimate fulfillment of the philosophy that Nintendo set out to accomplish, right? Like the philosophy like, that they were folding in their handheld and console divisions into one and basically just making Switch games, right? And I feel like this is the ultimate end result of that like all the dedicated handheld stores are now going to be gone.
Yeah. It's weird to see it go, but
I mean, do we think like
I'm excited for all the big send-off to the 3DS videos people are going to make.
I think, I don't know, like this is probably thinking way too far in the future, but like Nintendo is obviously kind of all about this virtual console via the Switch through subscriptions model, and it seems to be working for them. And I feel like it's
working for them. It sucks for everybody else.
It does.
Like, give me the games, guys.
But I feel like
there are a lot of good NES games.
At some point, they've got to consider adding handheld consoles to their list, right? Like we've got to get Game Boy.
You're not going to be able to get the Game Boy Pokemon games anymore.
Yeah, we've got to get Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. We've got to get DS eventually, maybe even 3DS a decade into the future. Like
how's that stuff going to play on the Switch though? Like, just I know it has a touchscreen and all, but like it's not going to look good. Like the two screen stuff.
Yeah,
it worked on the Wii U for obvious reasons,
right?
But like it sucks that all these DS games are really not going to be able to be played in there.
Especially like 3DS, like it was the end result of like that unique 2-screen handheld thing that Nintendo was doing, and only Nintendo was doing, right? And like with this shutting down, that's kind of just, it's the death of that handheld.
The death of the two screen, yeah.
And it's kind of sad, right? Like, I have extremely fond memories of, playing with more so my Nintendo DS, right? But also my 3DS to an extent. But like the DS family in general has been like a major part of my life growing up.
Yeah, I think the thing I miss most about the DS is like it was the last 2D game console. Like there's not a lot out there that like you're going to get a lot of high quality 2D games anymore. Like it's mainly, I mean, I guess 2D games are back in vogue now, but they're not making it out of necessity anymore.
Yeah.
And the DS obviously could do 3D, but it didn't do a very good job. So a lot of those games were in 2D. You got the Mega Man ZX games are what come to mind. Like those games were gorgeous pixel art.
Yeah. It does, I don't know, like it definitely feels like a little bit of an end of an era to me when this happens.
I remember when I was a kid, I had a Game Boy Advance and I liked playing it all the time and stuff. And my dad told me about the DS coming out, and I didn't realize that it was like the successor to the Game Boy. I think they had said that it wasn't the successor because Nintendo does that all the time. And
I mean, you could literally play Game Boy Advance games on it, at least the first generation.
But my dad was telling me like, it's pretty cool. It's got 2 screens, and I was like a kid, and I remember thinking like 2 screens. That seems like a lot to keep track of. I'll stick to this.
That sounds like a thing.
I did. I told my dad I didn't want one.
Yeah.
But then I saw you could play Super Mario 64 on it when my friend got one, and I changed my tune real quick.
Yeah, I still remember, I remember seeing Super Mario 64 running on my friend's DS, and it just blowing my mind. Saying, this is running in your hands right now?
It was one of those serious, there are not a lot of moments in gaming that I remember the way I remember seeing Super Mario 64 on a handheld.
Yeah, that was just...
That said, I'll be feeling it a lot later this year when I get a Steam Deck.
Well, yeah, the implications of that aside, I'm gonna, full disclosure, I have not even cracked open my 3DS in, I think, years at this point.
Oh, I bought a new one, not even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or no. Maybe just over 2 years ago.
I still have the OG 3DS, right? So I was part of the ambassador program and everything.
I was too. Yeah, I got one day one. I had I don't know how I got the money because I was a kid.
And it's also it is kind of like a relic of a bygone era too, in the sense that the whole 3D angle, right? I mean, we're not pursuing 3D anymore in games and movies really anymore, right?
I'll be honest, I didn't use the 3D a lot, but the games that like Super Mario 3D Land, the games that used the 3D for gameplay, I thought were really cool. And the fact that there's no glasses free 3D on the market right now that I know of. And that's a shame.
I think Nintendo was one of the pioneers of that technology, actually. So
yeah, they were, and they held the patent for it, I believe.
But it's just it was definitely, I think, a fad, right? People treated 3D back then it would be the next big thing. People were buying 3D TVs and everything was in 3D, and Avatar came out and blew everyone's mind in 3D, and it was 3D is going to be the next big entertainment leap, and it wasn't.
I liked it though. I liked 3D on the 3DS. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I did use it sometimes.
I used it sometimes, but it was a gimmick to me, really. I did it for a little bit just to see what it was like. Then it was okay, I can play the rest with it turned off.
I will say though, the successor to 3D is VR. And when you're playing in VR, if you play your flat screen games in VR, you can use the 3D features. A few of them have it. Sonic Generations for some reason has a 3D mode in it, and that's hilarious. It looks really cool. I've used it in my VR headset before, and it's really neat. And some emulators and stuff. I think Dolphin supports VR headsets. And just seeing these worlds in 3D is really, really cool. It just is better with a headset on in some ways. The headset to me is the same as a pair of 3D goggles, or 3D glasses. The friction to get there is the same, but the experience of a VR headset is way better. Whereas agreed. It is still hard, even though the experience is so good in VR. I still don't put my headset on very often because there is that huge level of friction to get me from not wearing a VR headset to wearing one. But when I put it on, I'm going to play a lot of VR games that night. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, like it was a bit surprising seeing this news, right? Like the fact that it's happening this quickly, and like there are already like people online organizing to say like, hey, these are the 3DS eShop exclusive games that like once it's gone, you can't get legitimately anymore. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, you can find these resources and get your 3DS games while you can.
Yeah, and
And
if you do miss the boat, I'm not condoning piracy. There are some really good homebrew apps on the 3DS that I really like. Also, you can inject virtual console stuff to play Game Boy Advance games and stuff basically natively. I don't really understand it, but
I think the kicker here is that this is Nintendo turning their back on any preservation of older games.
yeah, but this is not the first time they've
They've done
It's
this.
kind of funny
They
because
keep
like
doing
Nintendo
this.
was one of the first companies to care about preserving their old games. But it is not new that they're throwing them away. They've clearly been moving in that direction.
They've
Yeah, they
definitely
did it for
established
Wii.
that stance, right? Like Nintendo and Xbox are at polar ends of the spectrum in that regard, and I think PlayStation's maybe somewhere in the middle. But like, it is a shame.
Yeah, PlayStation tries, but they do a pretty bad job sometimes. Like
They could do better. Yeah.
they like the version of games that they include on the PlayStation Store are often like terrible. Like the Spyro Year the Dragon version on PSN. I don't know if it's ever been fixed, but when I got it on PS3 and for years after, the version available was the one that didn't have all the music in it. Like it played the wrong song during the final boss fight.
That's so weird.
I think it played like the first Hub World song or something. Like it was wild.
Jeez.
It was so weird.
But yeah,
So there's a lot of misses there. But what I was trying to say is that the 3DS is really easy to hack if that's something you're interested
Right.
in.
I do think it's interesting that we are here lamenting, basically just the loss of the 3DS eShop, but not saying anything about the Wii U eShop. But like, it is what it is, right? Like, I don't think anyone's that attached, unless you're like a collector or something, to the Wii U eShop going away.
I kind of would push back on that because the Wii U eShop was actually, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of people sad about it because not a lot of people played the Wii U, but the Wii U had like every Metroid game. The Wii U had a GBA eShop. The Wii U had DS eShop. It had
That's wild.
You could play like everything on the Wii U.
That is wild. Like, I actually didn't know about this stuff until you told me, right? But like, it is crazy for how little we think Nintendo supported the Wii U, and they didn't support it with like modern titles, right? But they definitely pumped it full of really quality retro titles.
And I am gonna say I don't have a Wii U with which to test this, but I read earlier today I like the homebrew scene on the 3DS, but the homebrew scene on the Wii U is buck wild. They're bringing back Miiverse.
Really?
Yeah, and that's some love. It's obviously it's not going to be as legendary as the original Miiverse, but it'll be there. It's better than nothing. Probably won't be super populated. The number of people willing to mod a console is pretty low, and I don't blame them. It's easy, but it is terrifying. They do not make it. Actually, modding my PS Vita was very user friendly and easy to do. My 3DS was a little harder, and I don't even know what the process is on a Wii U.
I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find it though.
Yeah, and once the eShop is gone, they're not going to release any more updates. So like odds are hackers are going to catch up with the latest firmware and everything, and that'll make things easier.
But yeah, I think definitely wanted to devote some time to acknowledge that these historic shops are leaving us.
Yeah.
So
pour one out for the friends we lost along the way.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right, shall we get into the games we're playing?
Oh, I have like 2 today.
Good, because I need to think.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike, you want to start us off?
Well, first off, I'm gonna put an aside for Ace Combat 4 because I started playing the holy trinity of Ace Combat games.
Which 3 is that?
Ace Combat 4, Ace Combat 5, and Ace Combat 0. It's all
you see that you sneak one in on me on the end. I thought it was going to be 6.
No, 6 is the 360 port. No one liked that for whatever reason. I can tell you why they didn't like it, because the port was the only Ace Combat to be exclusively on the 360. And up to that point, the series was a Sony exclusive.
Oh, that's really frustrating. I hate it when it's
super frustrating for everybody involved.
Yeah.
But
looking at you, Monster Hunter.
Ace Combat 4 was actually a very simple game. I expected it to be a lot less mechanically advanced than Ace Combat 7, but it felt just the same. I was very surprised.
Yeah.
The AI was a little simple, and you could cheese a lot of things because of balance issues, but it really wasn't a bad game. For the first Ace Combat in the Strange Real universe, not half bad.
Usually,
Not bad at all.
you're like gushing a lot more with these
Oh
Ace
no, that's
Combat games.
I'm saving that for 5. I didn't think a lot of 4. 4 was like 4 hours long. It
Okay.
didn't take long for me to complete, and the story was kind of disjointed. 5,
Gotcha.
however, I'm gonna gush a lot about because I'm actually enjoying it. Now 4, I just wanted to get through. I didn't even
Okay.
I didn't even take damage for the majority of 4.
Oh wow.
It was super easy, and I
Nope.
played every combat in the same difficulty. So
Interesting. Wonder what went wrong with that one then.
it was the first one on the PlayStation 2.
Mhm.
One of those like
Emulation
they had to build the engine
difficult, too.
before they could build a game.
Right,
That was typical back then. That was how the first Devil May Cry felt, and like
It definitely felt like an Ace Combat game, but it was missing something. Maybe dialogue in missions. Because it was just you and the air controller guy.
that is
It was
weird.
just you and
Yeah.
your AWACS. There was no squadron.
A lot less
So-
character that way.
Do you want to just move into 5 since you?
No,
Just-
I'll talk more about 5 next week. I haven't finished 5 yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm still working through it. I'll gush about it next week. But the other game I was going to talk about was Grounded.
I saw
Ooh,
you streaming that
okay.
a little bit. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it because I played it when it came out in early access and was not super impressed.
I remember when it was
Um,
first revealed on like that Xbox showcase, and I saw it. And I thought it looked really cool, but I never actually tried playing it.
This is like the Honey I Shrunk the Kids game, right?
Yeah.
I've been playing through it with friends, and it's actually a lot of fun. Like, there's enough interesting locations, and the concept's unique that it keeps me kind of engaged.
It's like a survival game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a hard time keeping me engaged.
Isn't it like a battle royale?
No, it's definitely not a battle royale.
It's like 4-player,
Okay.
I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 4-player co-op, and it's survival. But you're just
Interesting.
shrunk down. You're just a little thing in the grass.
I rember like the world was
spiders.
interesting and stuff when I played it, so I might have to revisit it. But there was just not a lot to do when I played it.
Yeah, they keep adding more stuff. I think they just added a shed.
It's
which
still
we
early
haven't gotten
access,
to
right?
yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they added a shed, which we haven't gotten to yet, but we've just gotten to the sandbox, which I think might be new as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know for what reason I thought it was like battle royale esque.
Well, it did kind of come out.
Thinking of
It
it.
came out in early
different
access
game.
at a time when battle royales were like huge. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by Obsidian, too, which is
Is it
equally
really?
surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely thinking of the same game. Yeah. I remember, yeah.
I forgot that it was by Obsidian. I'm not even a
Yeah.
big Obsidian fan. I just like it's out
It's
of
not the kind of game they
It
make.
doesn't feel like an Obsidian game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is a bunch of lore in the background that you have to explore to find,
Is it good?
but I haven't found any of it.
Oh, okay, well,
I just know it exists.
report back later.
There's like robots and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool little game. Well worth the $30 I spent on it.
Oh, I play.
I could have bought Dying Light 2.
It's on Game Pass. Is Dying Light 2 only $30?
No, Dying Light 2 60.
Okay, I was gonna say because I was kind of wanting to play that, but I've been buying a lot of games
Need to
lately.
buy it.
I'm not sure I'm ready to drop another $60 right now.
Yeah, I'm about to change jobs up, so I'm not exactly going to be financially stable.
Oof, I know the feel. Haven't in
Yeah.
a while, but I do know it.
It's
All
about
right.
all I have about Grounded. It's a survival game.
So I will go next. So it's an interesting period for me as far as games go, right? Like, because like Horizon Forbidden West comes out this Friday, and I'm like over the moon excited for that.
It's getting
And
really
then-
good reviews.
Yes, and like a lot of the complaints about the first one were apparently addressed. I'm trying to avoid as much as possible, but I'm over the moon. Like I'm super hyped for that game. Also, next week Elden Ring comes out.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Which is just like Horizon followed by Elden Ring.
Two
My brain is
massive
just going
open
to
world games. Yeah, you're gonna be
totally different though. But like,
Yeah,
but
but-
still, like
Yeah,
I'm a little kid again right
Yeah.
now. You know, like
This has been a big month for games.
yeah. February's been insane already.
Yeah.
I mean,
February-
a massive game for me comes out tomorrow.
What is it?
which one?
Warhammer 3.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing about
that's
that. Yeah.
this month too.
And Legends
Literally
Arceus
tomorrow.
was this month, and like,
Already
Dude, yeah,
pre-downloaded
this-
it. I'm ready.
This month is insane.
or was Legends Arceus? It might have been
Insane.
very into January. I can't remember. Either way, like
It used to be like November used to be huge, but this year
it's
it's
February. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is usually a dead time.
I don't know that this is gonna like be one of those legendary years, but this month is gonna be
I think it might be.
It could
honestly.
be. It definitely has it's got the chops.
Yeah. Especially if it's like Zelda and God of War hit.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my god.
and Silk Song. Like,
Silk Song's a pipe dream, but the other two might.
yeah. But yeah, so anyways, really looking forward to those games, right? So I wasn't really playing anything, and then I saw this game had come out, and I remember thinking it was interesting when I first saw it revealed, and I got it, downloaded it. In about 20 hours, I've beaten it completely. I've 100%ed it. I've platinumed it, and it's definitely a Game of the Year candidate for me. And I did not expect this going into Horizon and Elden Ring, right? But like, I played a game that might just be just as good as those games right before I played those games. So it was such a great treat. And the game I'm talking about, I've kept you in suspense long enough, is Sifu.
Oh yeah, I've seen a little bit about this, but I've seen the title, I've seen some coverage. I don't know what it is though.
So Sifu is an action like martial arts beat 'em up brawler type game, right? Like, and it's made by indie developer Slow Clap. And I think it's published by Devolver Digital.
Oh, then I have to play it. Yeah. Devolver doesn't miss.
And it's on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. And it is at its core, it's a very simple, small game, right? Like, you are like this kid when someone breaks into your martial arts dojo and basically kills your father/master, and the game is about you taking revenge on those who killed your father. That's the entire premise of the game.
What an innovative story.
There are 5 levels in the game, right? Only 5 levels, right? And you go through the levels, you fight people, and then there's a boss at the end of each level, right? Simple premise. Where this game absolutely shines is in its combat. It's got probably the best melee combat I've experienced in a video game. Like, it's so much fun. It's basically like Sekiro on steroids, I think, right? Because like, you have your parries, but you also have like dodges. Like, you have a dodge for like high attacks, a dodge for low attacks, parries, blocks, a light attack, strong attack, and you can string together combos as well, learn new combos and stuff like that. And this game's interesting in that, like, your character, he's got like this magical pendant, right? So as you go through the game, if you die, so you start the game as a 20-year-old, right? If you die, your death counter will be set to 1, and then you can spend skill points on like, learning new combos and stuff or whatever, and then come back as a 21-year-old. Okay?
Interesting. So like, I've seen a lot of footage of an old man, and that's like...
Yes. And obviously you age, physically you can see your character age too. And if you die again, right? Like, your death counter gets up to 2, and then you age from 21 to 23 when you come back to life. Oh. And this game is super difficult. Like, it's very hard.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's
now you're speaking my language.
It's so hard, dude. Like, it's
did I hear roguelike elements?
Yes, very very light roguelite elements, right? So here's the thing, right? Like, if you beat certain strong enemies, you can decrease your death counter by 1, right? So you can essentially set your death counter back to 0, and then if you die, you only age up 1 year as opposed to like 2 or 3 or whatever. So there is an element of like performing really well so that when you die, it doesn't age you up a catastrophic amount. And when you get older, your health decreases, but your attack power increases.
Oh, so it's like a give and take then.
Yeah, so like,
that's interesting.
When you're 70, you basically have, much lower health than you did in your 20s, but your blows, your attacks are way stronger. Right? And I'm
going to have to buy this game.
And it's like Sekiro in the sense that like, you have your health meter, but you also have like a posture meter, right? Like, and you can attack enemies while they're blocking to increase their posture. And if you parry enemies perfectly, that also damages their posture. And once their posture is damaged, obviously they're open for like devastating attacks and stuff like that. So it incorporates that like posture system stuff from Sekiro, but it is more complex than that because it also has like I said, you can dodge high attacks and low attacks, and obviously like the skills as well, right? Like, so I mentioned like when you come back, you can add like some certain skill points. The interesting thing is, if you die, your skill points go away, right? But if you unlock one of the skills 5 times, so you unlock it 5 times, then you permanently unlock it. So it's another like sort of a roguelike roguelite rather element, in that like as you die, you can try different combos of things, but if you keep persevering, getting experience, dying, and then spending skill points, eventually you will permanently unlock these skills. And obviously, so like these skills, right? Like they help you. They're definitely just additional tools to use in combat, but they will not make the game easier for you. You can have all the skills unlocked and still get your teeth kicked in like level 2, right? Like it's a very challenging game, and it's one of those games, right? Like it's the levels are. I wanna. They're so. This comparison's not gonna make sense, right? But I'm gonna say they're Hitman-esque in the sense that so much love and care was poured into crafting these levels. They're not like open-ended or anything. They're very directed. But like these levels are so well made, and each one is a joy to play through. My favorite in the game is probably level 3, which takes place in a museum, and you go through some really crazy abstract art exhibits as you're like fighting through these people through kung fu and stuff. There's also weapons in the game, right? Like, so if an enemy comes at you with a bat, you can like obviously like knock the bat out of their hand, pick it up, and start wielding the bat, and like wield the bat until it breaks, right? And there's like stabs and knives too, right? Like, so you really basically just feel like John Wick playing this game. Like
it's extremely stylish too. Like I'm looking at some screenshots right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pick this up.
Yeah,
later.
So you're just demolishing people with your fists and weapons you find around the way, and it's just such a joy to play, man. Like I told you, like I beat it and I platinumed it, and the hardest trophy to get in the game is that you have to beat the entire game being 25 or less.
Wow.
So, and just to give you some context, right? Like the first time I played through the game, right? Like level 1 was all right. Like I was like maybe like 30 or so when I finished level 1. Level 2 died. Like I went all the way to 70 plus and died because it was just so much of a difficulty jump. And it's particularly right the boss in level 2, because it's crazy because you fight like a strong enemy. I guess you could consider it a mini boss. And then immediately after that, you fight 2 strong enemies that are basically mini bosses, and then you fight the boss. Like all at the end of that level, right? So and just, I guess this isn't too much of a spoiler, right? But like I'll just give you the settings of the levels, right? So level 1 is basically like on the streets, right? Like in like a rundown part of town.
As is beat 'em up tradition.
Yeah, as is tradition, exactly. And also like there's a very cool like there's a couple parts in the game where it like turns into not a side scroller, but the camera pans around, and then like like the crazy like hallway shot from Daredevil, or like, and like these shots are common in like kung fu movies, but I don't know enough about those to speak to those. But like the camera turns and you're just like mowing down these people through kung fu, like as you progress through this hallway, and it's such a cool feeling.
I love camera work like that in games. Nier Automata did a lot of playing with the camera work, and it spoke to me.
But yeah, like the first level, like I mentioned, on the streets. Second level is at a club, and that level is freaking awesome. Because like
it's very Hitman.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like because like the music and the bass is going, and like it's shaking the whole club as you're like just taking fools down, and you feel freaking awesome. It's such a good game, man. And then level 3 is in this museum where things get crazy and abstract really quickly, and it's my favorite level, like I told you guys. Level 4 is in a skyscraper, so you're like progressing through the tower as you go through the level. And then level 5 is at the sanctuary / dojo of the man who killed your father. And you're fighting through that. And it's just 5, like, relatively short, right? Like, if a master played this game, he could probably beat it in, like, 2 hours? Maybe less, right? You are not going to beat this game in under probably 8 hours. Or 10 hours, right? Because, like, that's just how much it takes to get used to the combat, to get used to the levels and to the bosses themselves, each of which present unique challenges to you that you really just have to learn to overcome. And in that sense, it's very Souls-like, right? It's Souls-like in the sense that you really have to learn the boss's patterns, study them, and like then train yourself to be good enough to react and handle their attacks. And if it isn't evident already, like I just absolutely adore this game. Like, it looked really cool when it was first shown at like some PlayStation event or whatever. But I did not expect it to, like, this is easily a Game of the Year caliber game for me. And in a year where like obviously like these crazy big games are coming out, like I could easily see myself at the end of the year saying like Sifu was better than all of them.
I'm kind of curious if this is going to be, because I believe you that the game's incredible and I really want to play it. I do wonder if this is going to be like one of those situations where like when I played A Hat in Time for the first time, it was right before Mario Odyssey came out, and I was like, I don't know if Mario Odyssey is going to be able to beat A Hat in Time. You know,
It could be,
I wonder.
but like this is very different. Like the only similarity it has with something like Elden Ring is the difficulty, right? Like it's not an open world game, you know, like it's a very
but you said it was Sekiro-ish combat.
the combat is Sekiro-ish, right? Like in the sense that it's very it can be reliant on parries.
I haven't played Sekiro, so I don't know how close to a Souls game Sekiro is.
Yeah. It still has Souls DNA, but it's definitely its own thing, I would say.
Okay.
But yeah, this game is incredible. Like I will say obviously there are some criticisms I have, right? Like the game is not really built or is equipped for you to handle like large crowds at once, and sometimes like people just gang up on you and attack you, and it's not like an Assassin's Creed game where like people crowd you and then just like one dude at a time steps forward to fight you, right? Like if you're like 10 people around you, they'll all be throwing punches and kicks at you at once, and you just have to sort of deal with it, you know? Like you have to like basically get out of there and like isolate one or like stun one and attack the other and stuff. It really relies on you being creative, but like if you just like run in there and try to attack a bunch of enemies at once, your moveset is not really equipped to deal with that. So, and I guess like one criticism could be like they could add moves to deal with crowds more sufficiently to make that gameplay feel more natural. But I don't know, like in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a very minor criticism. The other criticism I have, which is I guess kind of bigger and a little slightly disappointing, is that the audio in the game is not good. Like, and this is to say the music is fantastic and the soundtrack is fantastic, but the actual audio effects themselves, like you punching people and like you hitting people with like a crowbar and stuff, does not sound good, which is wild to me because I feel like that sort of thing is so important in a game like this.
Yeah, that'll really affect the feel.
But yeah, like the sound of the impact is just muffled and weird sounding. It almost feels like this is some sort of bug that they might address later on, but like it just does not sound right. Like the hits just sound too soft. I don't know. It might be like a stylistic choice, but like that's definitely
it could be an attempt at realism because like
right, like
you know the ones we're used to like action movies and stuff where they really like play it up.
True, but like this
you would think the rest of the game is
exactly
kind of
this
playing
game
it
is
up,
basically just an action movie. Like
yeah, you would think they would play up the sound too. Yeah, that's weird.
Those are my biggest criticisms, but like, and I obviously acknowledge this game is not for everyone. Like, I guarantee you a lot of people will play this game and just be frustrated and think and hate it just because like they can't get through it. But like, it's one of those games where if you really put in the time and learn and like if you've played Souls games before, you already have this skill set, but basically just throw yourself at the boss until you know them like the back of your hand and can dismantle them, right? That's what this game has, and it does what it does extremely well. And I highly, highly recommend anyone who's even slightly interested in like martial arts or difficult games or just really well designed levels to check this out.
High praise. Yeah, I will have to buy this. I probably won't do it this weekend, but
yeah, it's a great game.
So I guess I'll go. I've been playing Fortnite still. No, I'm not going to talk about it. I have been playing it, and I keep winning because I'm really good at it. But and also I'm playing a lot of bots still. I don't know how long you have to play before it. I know. I mean, the top. It's at least 50 real people. Like I am. Most of the people I'm fighting are real people, but there are still very obviously bots. But I also like play during times when a lot of people aren't on and stuff. So that's probably part of it. But I'm still having a good time with it. That game's fun. But the one I think I'm going to talk about is Astroneer. I think I've talked about it on the show before, but it would have been a really long time ago. It's gotten a lot of updates.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing it with a friend of the show, Ryan. Check out his game on Steam, Wildfire Swap. It's a fun little puzzle game. But Astroneer, it's definitely more fun multiplayer than it was single player, although it's weird because it almost doesn't feel super designed around multiplayer. Astroneer is a game that's like, it's kind of like if Minecraft is Legos, Astroneer is clay, is how I would describe it. Because the world is like this, very much, you have like a vacuum where you can suck up the world into it, and it like is like, it morphs like clay, and then you can like spit the dirt back out and like build little whatever's, you can flatten the ground out or whatever you want to do. But and that mechanic's fun and all, it's fine, but I can't imagine actually like sitting down to build something in this game. That sounds miserable to me. But like, as far as like mining and like practicality, like building a little bridge to like get around, it's pretty fun. And like the game feel on it is really good. It's called Astroneer, so naturally it's like a space themed game. It does a lot really well, but it's kind of hard to describe the game because the objectives are so weird. It's open, sort of in the same way Minecraft is, but like the objective in Minecraft is immediately obvious. It's build something cool. Yeah. And in Astroneer, it's a little less obvious. Like, it has a little bit of automation stuff that feels like out of Factorio or Satisfactory, but not enough that like it's really going to scratch that itch for you. The exploration is fun, but it kind of never hits a sweet spot. Like early game, you can't get off the planet you're on, but then not very long after you get off the planet you're on, it's for a little bit, it's really expensive to go visit other planets, but it's fun and all, and you're exploring and stuff. But then it becomes like essentially free to go visit other planets. It becomes really cheap and you're not really worried about it anymore. And it has cool missions. Like there's like, you get stuff for going to the core of a planet, and it's really cool the first time you do it. It's like this big expedition, but then you realize like you got to go to the core of all the planets, and it's going to be pretty much the same journey every time. This, it runs into that problem a little bit. So playing it multiplayer helps a lot. It is weird though, because you have to like build a spaceship to go to the other planets. And by default, the spaceships only seat one person. And if you put a second seat in your spaceship, then you can't carry the oxygenator that you need to like provide oxygen on your spaceship, which is a problem. So you end up having to like build two of everything, which is kind of weird. It's just a weird game. And it runs into the problem of like, well, what do we do now all the time? It's a game that would benefit a lot from a little more. It has like a quest system, but I felt like I ran out of quests that I wanted to do very early and just kind of started messing around and doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's an easy recommend if you have Game Pass and you want to check it out, because it is one of the prettiest games I've played. Like, this game looks really, really good, in my opinion. It looks great. And that's cool and all. It's kind of just good vibes. Like, the characters are adorable. You go around and the game is adorable the whole way through. The UI is amazing in some ways. The game is really dedicated to I forget if it's diegetic or non-diegetic. Whichever one is like, the user interface is made entirely of things that are actually in the world.
So I really like that.
Yeah, so like your inventory is made up of slots on your backpack. And even when your character is walking around, you can see everything that's in those slots all the time. Your oxygen bar is a bar on your backpack. Your power meter is a bar on your backpack. But it goes even further than that. The crafting is a little menu on your backpack. And like all the menus on stuff in the world are like a panel that like pops off of, it pops off of the machine that you're looking at and like comes towards the screen for you so you can see it better. But it is a panel that was there and stuff. Like it's 100% whichever it is, diegetic or non-diegetic. I'm not going to Google it right now, and that's brilliant. Like, it does such a good job on that stuff. The presentation is really good. The problem is, and part of that is as a consequence of this UI, is that like you have these 3D printers that you make your stuff on. You have the small printer, the medium printer, and the large printer. And the one you're going to use the most is probably the small printer. And I think it has over 20 items that I can print that I've unlocked on it right now. And they're not sorted at all. You have to go through every single one of them to find what you're looking for. And it's infuriating and kind of insufferable. So yeah, Astroneer is kind of one of those games where it has a lot of hits and a lot of misses, and I don't really know where I land on it. But me and Ryan are playing through it. We're having a good time. We're probably going to finish it. I had to put in a weird amount of work to get a server set up. It only supports crossplay, but only on dedicated servers. Also, if you're on PC and PlayStation, you can connect to those. You can run a server on your PC and everybody can connect to it, except not really, because you're not allowed to have a server on LAN. So you need to have like a way to trick your computer into thinking that it's not hosting the server locally, which is more than I'm going to get into right now. Also, if you're on Xbox, you can only connect to like approved servers. So you would have to like, I think it's Nitrado you have to go through. And then if you go through Nitrado, everybody can play on the same server, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. It's just weird that those restrictions are there at all, kind of.
That's insane to me, man. Like,
yeah,
that...
it was a huge pain, and I don't know why. Also, I will say this is the single worst dedicated server software I've ever used. It has no user interface. And I don't mean that it like doesn't have a GUI. I mean it doesn't even open a terminal. You double click the exe and nothing comes up.
And just hope it works.
Yeah, you're just supposed to hope it works. So I downloaded a third-party tool that gives you a terminal and like adds a couple things. Because I was like, I mean, it really does. I don't like to say anything's lazy or anything, but it feels like the most phoned in dedicated server ever. Like they did less than the bare minimum. Like I feel like they had to go out of their way to make a terminal not pop up. It's kind of infuriating.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so and I've heard lots of stories about people giving up setting up an Astroneer server. That said, it's probably because they want you to pay for a Nitrado server or something, which I refuse to do. And that, dedicated servers are the only way to do crossplay. Otherwise, I would have just, hosted a game through the game. You can do, if you have it on the Windows Store, you can do crossplay with Xbox without a server. It's weird. It's very confusing. Like I said, it's a game that is full of like weird misses, but also a lot of hits. I am not comfortable saying whether or not I'm not comfortable saying in any meaningful way how I feel about this game, but I will probably play through the rest of it. And if you have Game Pass, I seriously, you should check it out because it's kind of just adorable and beautiful. And it's on there. But
I have seen it, and it looks very pretty.
It's extremely pretty. If you do have to pay for it, though, it's kind of... you're going to have to look at it to see if it's your thing. Because if it's your thing, you might really like it. There are a lot of people that really like this game. It just sits in a very weird spot for me. Where it's kind of fun. I'm having a good time, but I'm having a hard time saying whether I'm having a good time with the game or I'm having a good time hanging with my friend. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I feel like any game benefits from co-op.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, it just makes the game more fun.
I will say, like, I like it at least enough that I've come back to it a few times. And it does kind of hook. It gets its hooks in you. Like, if you start playing it, I, like, kind of fixated on it for a couple days, and I really wanted to play it, And I did, and I had some fun. But it is just... I don't know. It definitely, like, even when I really wanted to play it, sometimes I would fire it up and I'm like, well, what do I even do? Because another problem it has the crafting recipes. Like, everybody knows how to make a pickaxe in Minecraft. It's 2 sticks and some cobblestone, right? That just makes sense intuitively. Well, in this game, you don't have cobblestone. You have stuff like compound and resin and carbon and organic and like lithium and iron, which I guess iron's in. But you have to get your iron from hematite, I think it is, and you get your aluminum from laterite and stuff. And it's like, how am I... These recipes just aren't intuitive at all. Like, the battery takes lithium, but lithium and what? What was the other ingredient for a battery? I don't know. I'm going to have to go check. Like, solar panel, I think that was like copper and glass maybe, but I don't know. Like, they're not learnable recipes, really. And I think that's a bit of a failing. But the 3D printers look really cool while you're using them. So
that's good.
Yeah, for every miss there's a hit. For every hit there's a miss. It's a weird game. I think that's all I got to say about it. I am going to play it some more.
All right. Awesome. So at the risk of our audio failing for the 3rd time this episode, I think we're going to end it here. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on any podcast service you use, including SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Click the link in the description of the podcast to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.